This video tutorial is to help understand the EH&S reporting and submission process required for AT&T. EH&S stands for Environmental Health and Safety, and what this is the documentation required for any fuel and battery change performed at any AT&T location. For this, you will start at the EH&S report, listed under Reports. And what this report is every single work order that is marked as EH&S required. So anytime during the QC process that there was a fuel change or fuel added, as well as a battery change, that will mark the work order as EH&S required. And what we have here is every DWR under those specific work orders. So for example, we have every unique DWR, I should say, under that work order. So for example, at the top here, we have 781150, but we see it listed multiple times. So it's because there had been multiple visits for this work order, and each one may or may not have required that battery or the fuel change. When generating this report, I suggest sorting by the job complete date, and that way you can kind of start from the oldest to the newest. But you should note that you will see ongoing jobs here. So ongoing fuel deliveries don't have a job complete date, but they obviously still have DWRs. So that is one thing to kind of keep in mind. But generally, for the most part, you will see the job complete date. And, all of these basically are a result of having the fuel or the battery change. So we're going to go through each different type of these and kind of go through an example and understand what we need to fill out and how we're going to format the email that we sent to AT&T. All right, so this work order had a battery change. So if I go down to the parts, I see we have the battery red top and we have it marked here as EH&S required. During the QC process, the QC admin will carry over the 5 required images needed for the battery change, as well as that Excel file that we're going to be adjusting and sending to AT&T. So the way that I work through this is I start with actually formatting the email, because we're going to be, they require a lot of unique identifiers, and it's actually going to help us going forward if we get that all in place first. So you will open up the EH&S email inbox that you have received a separate information for, and we're going to start our new email. So the way AT&T needs these emails structured is with the unique identifiers about the location and the job information. We're going to go ahead and start it with the FA location ID, followed by the US ID, the state, then we need the location, city, followed by the location name. Now, sometimes those are the same, and if that's the case, you just enter 1, but in this case, they are different. So put that here, and we'll follow up with generator battery mod, date that this was completed. So this was 2/10/21. So then what I end up doing is I actually copy this subject line, go over to the job folder, and I'm going to take this National Hazardous Materials form, which is the one that we're going to be sending out, and I'm going to go ahead and just rename it that same as the subject line. There's a couple of reasons I do this. First, now I'm good to open up this and review everything. All right. Let's see. So one of the reasons that I do the entire name and subject line first is because we need to be able to cross-reference the information that the technician entered and make sure it's all accurate. So I'm able to look at the FA location ID from here, cross-reference to there, make sure that it's correct. Same with the US ID, location name. So I know that we're filling this out for the correct one. Now we have the information about the battery change process. So they're going to fill out what was the battery that they removed. In most cases, it's an Optima, but you do always want to make sure that that is correct. And then we're saying we're added a Deca. So the first thing I'll do is I will look at the pictures and I just make sure that that is correct. All right, so I see that Optima red top, which does look like the older one, and then we see the new battery. Yep, and that is a Deca, so perfect. All right. So now we're going to scroll down to the section where we are going to add our photos. So here is where we reference what photos are required that they want to see the battery change process. So there are 5 pictures, and we have 5 carried over into our job folder. They are uniquely sized, so go through a little bit of how we kind of accommodate that. But we're basically what we're starting with is we know we need 3 pictures of our added battery. First one is basically just an overview. One is the next one just kind of shows that it is a single battery. And then ideally we want to see the final location of the new battery hooked up. So let's take a look at the pictures that we got. All right. Okay, so this is an overview of the new one added. So I'm going to use it for this one. I can already tell though that, obviously this is a landscape sized image and we have it originally taken portrait. So I'm going to actually open up this one and rotate it. Now, I prefer to use the snipping tool for a lot of this stuff because you're able to quickly pull the image that you want, as well as trim out anything else that you kind of don't really care for. I'm going to take that one, and I'm going to paste it in here. So because I took it, it is such a high resolution image, obviously it's a little too big, so we will scale it back down. And, we don't need it to be an exact perfect fit, just kind of mirror the overall shape. And then I just kind of, center it, make sure it looks somewhat nice. Okay. So then now we need a couple additional images. New battery. Okay, so here we could see we have the new battery set up. This is a good one to use. And for this one, I could just take it straight from the preview. And I know that this one is definitely going to be a little more of a portrait sized here. And yeah, just kind of center it. Doesn't need to be exact, but we want to make it as easy to review as possible. All right, so we have another image that just shows that we have a single battery added, which okay. All right, so now we need our pictures of the removed batteries. We got a couple here, sweet. The first one that we're going to put in, we ideally want to see kind of all of the manufacturer information that's displayed on the top. And this one is extremely wide, but and then let's see if we have, okay, yes, and then one of the original battery setup. Actually, because it is wider, I will. Okay. So we have our images added. So then if we scroll down to the bottom, we just want to make sure that the technician filled out this information, both the print and the signature section. Sometimes this is left blank because the technician did have to sign the physical copy at the location. And if that's the case, you just want to go ahead and type it. Now, this form that we're actually reviewing is a consolidated view of the original document. And when we send it back to AT&T, we want to send them the fully expanded view. So we're going to do Control-All. We're going to hit Select Unharmed. This is just going to bring up some of those missing hidden fields that we don't need to see, but AT&T does want to see. All right, so we have our entire document created now. So we're going to go ahead and just hit save as, because we're actually want to send AT&T a PDF on a unadjustable version. We do want to actually save our original as well, so we'll make sure to do both. Okay, so this brought up our PDF version, and we're just going to give it a quick kind of summary review, make sure that we have everything did save and carry over correctly. Perfect. We have our images. We have the additional sections that just don't apply for our service lines in this particular instance. And we have it all filled out. Perfect. All right, and I want to go ahead and make sure to save the original. Okay, so then back in the job folder, we have our PDF version that we created, as well as our updated Excel version. So any battery changes that are performed in California comes with an additional document called the Bill of Landing that's required to be sent as well. Now, this particular job was done in Colorado, so we don't need it, but we do see that it was actually completed and carried over. So if this were to be a California job, you would just want to make sure that we include this in the email that we send to AT&T. All right, now that my document is created, I can go ahead and add it to the email that I've already started. Perfect. Okay, now where you send this email is going to come down to two different buckets. We have the West region and the Central region. So obviously this is Colorado, so we're going to use the Central region. And all you have to do here is, these are, since this is the primary function of this email address, you see it in here as contacts, and they'll always be the top two defaults. We will select Central, and we will hit send. All right, so that one has been sent. So I'm able to come back to this work order, and I'm able to go back to where it was populated as EH&S required. And I will change this to submitted. I'll also put an office note for today. EH&S submitted for battery. Now, because I went ahead and I changed that to be marked as submitted, it automatically, if I update this report, that line entry is no longer here. So that is the process for sending it for any battery change.